It's been a real roller coaster, dude.
It has. And
It really
it's
is.
been a roller coaster for me as a Barcelona fan, Terry, but also as an Atlanta Falcons fan. And that was no different this Sunday when an hour before kickoff, our number one receiver, Calvin Ridley, told the team that he's
Wow.
not going to be playing in the game. Ridley later tweeted out in the middle of the third quarter that he's taken time away from football to get his mind right.
Damn, son. I heard about that. Is he gonna stay out for like the rest of the season or what? It's just like he has to figure out what's going on with him.
Our coach wouldn't talk about it or talk about his timeline or any of that shit. It was like, you'll have to ask Cal.
Yeah.
Like,
He just doesn't know. Hey man, you got to do what's best for your own life. Like I totally understand it, but what are you guys gonna do? I mean, y'all aren't great, but what do you think about the whole situation?
well, before I even get to that, man, I think this is like a pretty important precedent that Calvin Ridley is setting in the NFL. I can't remember a time before this that somebody took time away in the middle of the season in this manner, and he's getting supported by his coach and his franchise and everything, and they're treating this like no different than if he was a high ankle sprain that he couldn't play for 6 weeks of. And I think he definitely feels that type of positivity and that support around him. I don't think there's ever been a case of this before in the NFL. You've seen guys retire and then maybe unretire after a season or something like that. You saw Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams famously did that. But never in the middle of the season and possibly returning and getting paid and everything like that. In the NBA, we saw Derrick Rose do it when he was with the Knicks. But as you know, in the NBA, those guys are on guaranteed contracts. In the NFL, those contracts aren't even worth the paper they're printed on for those guys. So for him to be the first person, it sets a big precedent. And I'm interested in monitoring this going forward because I can almost promise you he won't be the last.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. But I don't know. I mean, your whole team though seemed a little more, what should I say, progressive. Like your organization is definitely more player friendly, opposed to a lot of other organizations, which I commend Atlanta for doing that. Even when it was vaccine time, they just said, look, we'll give you guys the information. You decide to do it on your own terms. That's up to you guys. Unlike some of the other teams, even fucking New England, when they decided to cut Cam Newton, they're like, hey, you ain't vaxxed and you ain't playing good? You go ahead and get the fuck up out of here, buddy.
Hey, Ron Rivera.
You're gone.
He was like, get fucking vaccinated. I don't know how many times I have to say it. He said this shit at the press conference.
Yeah. But no, I commend Atlanta and their organization for doing it. I just hope Calvin's going to be all right. I don't really know what he's going through in his mind, but everybody knows, even if you play professional athletics, it's still, even though it's a game, it's still a fucking job. The shit's not easy. You can't do what you want to fucking do at all times. You can't go hang out with your family and not fucking work out and party and just bullshit. Because when you go in the game, you can get your ass hurt, badly, because you're not prepared for the game. So, I get it. I get, work fatigue. That happens to everybody. So I understand. But, who's to know what's actually going down with him? Hopefully everything is cool,
I really don't care, to be honest. I just, I'm a fan, and that stands for fanatic. And all I care about is him getting back there and catching touchdowns. I'll care about the other stuff when he retires and he's a person to me instead of just a person propelling our franchise forward. That's the fanatic part. But to be really real, I hope he does get the treatment that he needs and whatnot. And I don't really care about. I don't need to know what's going on with him. That's not really our business. I don't need to know why he took this break, and I hope he doesn't disclose it. You know what I mean? Take the time, get yourself right. In the NFL, it's a next man league, and Tajay Sharp is going to have to step up and fill that void. Yeah. I got to tell you, Terry, in fantasy this week, before the game, somebody proposed a Calvin Ridley trade to me, and I almost pulled the trigger to trade for James Robinson. And I paused. I was like, ooh, let me see how Calvin does this weekend.
Yeah. Because didn't he miss last week's game too? He missed last week's game too, right?
Yep, and he missed
kind of the same situation.
The Jets in London for personal reasons.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of football. You don't see it much like in the middle of the season, especially like with the mental health stuff and everything. It's kind of following the footsteps of like the more individualistic sports like tennis and shit. You hear a lot about like tennis and golf and stuff like that because that's on your own time. Like you get paid if you play, that's on you. But a lot of the team sports, people don't really do this shit much because like you never know how people are going to react to you doing this. And plus he is your best receiver, but I'm not going to sit here and say like he's like a superstar in the NFL. Like he is good for your team. And I honestly commend Atlanta for still paying him because they could easily just be like, look, you figure this shit out on your own. We can waive you, bro. Next man up. But they're not doing that shit. And it's kind of, I don't know. All I can say is the same shit I've been saying. I commend them and I applaud that shit. It's awesome.
And
it's good to see.
It's a good look for Atlanta too, you know, especially like in upcoming free agencies and shit like that. Like players know that type of thing. And like, you know, it's kind of like how the Celtics were stained after they did that shit to Isaiah Thomas. And all the players saw that. And they saw that Isaiah Thomas is playing fucking hurt with his needed hip surgery in the playoffs, get his teeth knocked out in the middle of games. His sister just died, and he's leaving it all heart and soul out on the court for the Celtics. And then instead of giving him the bag, they trade him for Kyrie Irving, and then he never gets the money. Guys around the league saw that, and Anthony Davis was one of them. And the Celtics, they had all those treasure trove of resources and whatever. That was all a guy like Anthony Davis who said the Celtics aren't on my list. And why did they do it? Why did he say that? Because he saw how they treated their players. And so for the Falcons,
I mean,
just the opposite of that. And even though short term, there may be some people that are like, you know, like they got no business paying. I wish I could get paid to not go to work and all this other type of shit. And think the Falcons are fucking up. This is a good decision. And they're looking at the long term with this one.
Yeah. Nah, it makes total sense, bro. It makes total sense. I get why they were going to do it. But, I mean, plus, if we want to be honest with ourselves, the Falcons aren't fucking world beaters, you know? So there's no need for them to have, like, this hard stance on this shit. Like, we don't agree with this. You need to step out on the field and be a man. Get out there and win games for the Atlanta Falcons. Nah, you guys are fucked.
Hey, go rub some dirt on your mental health and get back out there and play.
Yeah, definitely. No, I commend him for doing that, man. Definitely. It's an awesome move. Awesome move by the Falcons. Class organization.
And hopefully Calvin Ridley is going to be back out there proving people wrong, proving that he can, step up in the place of Julio and really has what it takes to be a number one receiver after he gets
that's true.
Because I tell you what,
you're right.
Kyle Pitts looked like he came up in there and was like, Julio's gone, I'm the number one. How about that? Tight end.
Kyle Pitts,
yeah. Call me offensive weapon. Whatever you want to call me, I'm the guy.
Thank you for listening to our podcast this evening. Thank you. You're far too kind.